Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Senior Bowl cornerback group, previewing a lot of the cornerbacks here, and we have a very special guest again with
Bill Carroll. And hopefully, this is the main course, but you've already whetted your appetite for both Bill and Jim by consuming plenty of Feeling a Draft. And we'll talk more about that later, but right now we're going to talk cornerbacks.
Exactly. We're going to talk about the Senior Bowl cornerback group, which is, there's a lot of decent cornerbacks in here. A lot of good ones, a lot of small school ones as well. So we get to talk about some smaller ones. So getting into this group, we also have our designated Alabama DB, Anthony Everett, here as well, who's not that bad of a corner either.
He's not bad.
He's not bad.
He's better than the other one that some other people think are really good. Wait, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. And then, of course, we have Chandon Sullivan, from Georgia State.
Yes.
Christian Campbell from Penn State. Danny Johnson from Southern, who's here as well. Darius Phillips from Western Michigan. Demontre Wade from Murray State. Duke Dawson from Florida. Isaac Yandum from Boston College. Jamarcus King from South Carolina. Cameron Kelly from San Diego State. Cameron Moore from Boston College. Levi Wallace from Alabama. MJ Stewart from North Carolina.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, Michael Joseph from
Dubuque College. Yeah.
Yep, Dubuque. And I see Ren Neal from Jacksonville State, and Teron Johnson from Weber State. That's a lot of DBs.
A lot of DBs
DBs.
A bunch of them from FCS, D2, and even D3.
Yes. In terms of the guys that I really like out of this group, big fan of MJ Stewart. Was big fan last year, big fan this year. Pretty much does it all. Now, is he an amazing athlete? No. But he does the things I like, which is he tackles people fairly well, and he makes plays on the football. So, those are the two things I really like. Duke Dawson, another guy that I like a good deal as well. Very similar in terms of like why I like MJ Stewart as well, just in terms of just that, those overall abilities and skills. And I think the third guy, which is interesting, is I do like Darius Phillips from Western Michigan. He is, there's definitely some issues here, and I don't know, there's like a couple things here and there with him, but I do like his ball skills. I do like his ability to get interceptions and stuff like that. And there's a couple things that are a little bit off, but those are kind of my three guys, if you will, that I kind of really like. But a lot of these, and I'm just gonna be honest, a lot of these FCS guys I've not really seen. I've seen
which is fine
of them, but not all of them, just because I haven't gotten into their film a ton.
Yep.
But out of this cornerback group, for you, who are some of your favorites, and who are some of the guys that you...
I'll open with one who is an FCS kid. Danny Johnson, Southern University.
Right.
Some people may kick him inside. I think he could hold up just fine on the outside. He's been a really good corner for a couple years down at Southern. He's gone up against some pretty good wide receivers, shut some of them completely down, frustrated in some cases. But even when he's up against a guy he can't completely shut down, that's the thing. It was a good test. Is when you're up against a guy you can't just turn off. You can't just eliminate. How well do you still compete? He's a very competitive kid, hard worker. Maybe not quite ideal size. That's why some people keep talking about him as a possible nickel. I think you leave him outside unless you have a very compelling reason to move him inside.
Right.
But smart, competitive, ball skills, decent tackler. You mentioned Duke Dawson. He doesn't quite make the cut for me, but I do like him. Cameron Kelly is a guy I like. And once again, I'm not one of those guys that's just a slave to length, but he is long. He is tough. Probably for him, the big thing will be speed.
Gotcha.
He's not a blazer, I don't think, but I think he can run probably, if he can stay in the mid to low 4.5s, that if he can do that, I think people will like him enough so he'll be drafted somewhere maybe 4th, 5th round. Like you, I'm a fan of MJ Stewart. I think MJ Stewart is a tough guy. If you're once again cover 2, right? There's still people running it, even if they aren't based out of it.
Right.
But if you're a team that's mostly zone, he's a guy that really understands zone concepts, is not all afraid to come up and tackle.
Oh, yeah.
That's one thing about many of these corners where we always talk about, the trend towards some corners being pacifist, was the term we once used.
Right.
This is a pretty violent group of corners. Most of them will tackle.
Yep, or passive aggressive, because they're not aggressive against the run. They're aggressive against the pass, so they're passive aggressive.
Right. Good point. Yeah. Good. Well put. Those are the guys that I really, really like. I really like Danny Johnson. I'm a big fan of his. I really like Cameron Kelly, and what
are your thoughts on Jamarcus King?
From
South Carolina.
Thought you might ask me about him.
Yeah.
He just misses for me. Things to like about it. Right. Once again, got good ball skills. He breaks up a lot of passes. Doesn't intercept a lot of them.
Right.
But breaks up a lot of passes. Right. I think I don't know if it's a sort of risk thing where he's trying to be careful and not. He doesn't do a lot of things where he breaks on the ball and tries to get it. If the ball comes close and it's within arm's reach and he's got long arms, he goes after it. He's once again a decent enough tackler. I think quickness is a question mark, not speed. I think he's probably going to be one of the 4.48, 4.49. I think he probably is once again on that high 4.4 to low 4.5s into a straight line speed. So he's probably fast enough. I think quickness is something I like to see how he does in some of the drills and other situations where you're seeing him having to come out of a break or have to stay with a guy who's turning very quickly.
Right.
But if you can do that, then I'll move him up. And I'll throw one guy I'll mention a little bit. So obviously not too many D3 guys get invited. Michael Joseph, some people project him to safety. So we'll see what happens, how they treat him when he gets there. But he legitimately belongs there. There's some other guys I would have chosen over some of the other guys who were here.
Right.
But this is the time where if you said pick one D3 defensive back, I think everyone would have agreed that's the guy.
Right.
They got it right there.
Right. I got you. Well, I know we have to talk about the Alabama DBs. Okay. I mean, you guys can't see us right now, but there's Alabama fans outside ready to storm the door if we don't talk about the Alabama DBs that are here. And of course, like we said, Anthony Everett is here.
Yes.
And we also have Levi Wallace.
Yes.
I like Everett a little bit more than Levi Wallace.
Same here.
But they're two guys. I mean, they could be NFL cornerbacks. I mean, of course, they did go under Saban. But what are your general thoughts on both?
It's funny because Everett was the guy that they didn't see coming. He's a guy that was a walk-on, late developing, didn't really see much time until this year, right? Even as a junior, he was a spot player, so he's earned his spurs. He was a scout team guy and fought. And a slightly different situation with Wallace, who was a little more expectation there. I would say that Everett is a guy who I think worst case scenario is going to be a fourth corner for somebody, special teams guy, plays in the league for 6 to 8 years. With Wallace, I think he'll probably be drafted before Everett, but I don't think he'll hang around as long in the league. I don't think he'll be as accepting of being a special teamer, for one thing. I mean, he might be. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll excel at it. Maybe he'll be amazing at it, and I'll eat my words. But the things I do like about him, he's a smart guy. But once again, it's sort of a cliche. But you don't play for Saban if you can't understand route concepts, and if you can't understand a lot of different coverage responsibilities. So, is he a guy that may end up finding his role, maybe playing some nickel, maybe in some free safety? His ability to think the game at a high level, I think, buys him some time. But I think he's a little less gifted than some people think he is.
Okay. And I guess the last group of cornerbacks here, the Boston College guys, Bo Cameron Moore, and of course Isaac here. General thoughts on them.
Well, they don't embarrass themselves, but I could so think of other guys I would rather see here. Right. So, in terms of, I guess I'll talk about the one I think I like slightly more, is Cameron Moore, to make a little play on words. Right. And once again, another guy, and once again, this is one of my least favorite things, but I could see him at some point being kicked inside to safety. He has some toughness. He's not a bad tackler. He's had some coverage lapses that I'm not a fan of. True. So he'll have to work through that. And then in sort of comparing and contrasting him to Yiadom, who I think is a special teams guy only, quite frankly. I don't think he'll see the field much as a DB. Now, if I'm wrong, once again, I'll be more than willing to admit it.
Sure.
But he hasn't impressed me thus far.
And, of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com or on Twitter at Geometrics.
You can find me. Now, let's say you are a fan of, like, the, chirp, chirp. Like, you like to have that good old-fashioned, hard, ruggedized, phone that you can drop around and, maybe do construction for a living. You like the Nextel. You want to chirp it out. Then you go to B Carroll, that's capital B, capital C, ARROLL 138, and you can find me there on Twitter. But let's say that you're more of a fan of, like, say, the Galaxy. You don't mind, maybe a phone that might not be quite so rugged, right. but you want to be able to do some more fun stuff. Hey, it's a projector. You can find your way to at 11Bravo. That's ELEVEMBRAVO 138 on Twitter, and you can catch both of us together on Feeling a Draft. And then I'll be doing some really cool stuff in terms of some player interviews on the Pro Prospect Radio Show of CDS. Thank you for everything, but the best way to thank us, first of all, is by subscribing.
Yes.
That's the most important
thing.
You
should subscribe.
Right away.
Do it now.
If not sooner.
Exactly.
And then, close to that in terms of importance, would be to turn on notifications so you'll know when there's more amazing content coming your way.
Exactly.
Then, if we're stacking this thing up a little bit higher, why haven't you already liked it?
Yeah.
I mean, you should definitely do that.
You should like the video.
But we should definitely
you haven't already. I mean, why not like it? I mean, you're already here. If you got to this point,
you
probably liked it.
Probably liked
right?
it.
So hit the like button as well.
And then the pièce de résistance, to tie the bow on top, share.
Sharing is caring.